Welcome YouTube to episode 35 of the Rise of Icelandic Football with HK. Now this episode is going to be quite a different episode to what we usually do here on YouTube or even on Twitch. We generally go and talk a little bit about what's going on, go for a game, we live common game, that's it. Today's episode is going to be slightly different. A little bit of background to why I'm doing this episode. It's a talking episode. I came home from work, I just finished a shift, I've got a hairdresser appointment in half an hour, and I come home and the saves kicked off. And when I mean kicked off, I mean the growth has come. There's been clubs have now in different positions in Iceland. Iceland football is growing to just growing at a rapid rate over the last year, and I felt like there was a real need to go and tell everybody what's going on in the save right now. And go a bit more behind the scenes. So there won't be a game today. I won't be playing this fourth Icelandic Cup game for you or anything. I'm just going to go do a quick chat, try and keep this video maybe as quick as possible, but at the same time put as much in-depth information that is needed to just show that the save has grown, especially over the last year. Icelandic football's in a decent spot. Before we get into it, since you guys last joined me, which probably was the Napoli win, gone through pre-season. Actually, no, I did a tactics episode where we put the FH game in. Since then, won the Champions Cup 4-1, and then have gone through and romped some teams in the cup, in the Premier Division. But what we want to get into here is, if we go to our inbox, we'll go first down to the day before, on the 15th. Now, Flemens actually had a couple offers accepted by the board, and then we told them to turn it down. But if we can go down here, the European competition rankings came out. We went up into 20th place. Now, what that means is that we had a TV deal anyhow in the thing, but the TV deals are now actually worth a little bit of money. It's not too much. We're getting like 150 grand, not per game, but like over a month or so, we'll get 150 grand for games and stuff that's on TV and stuff like that. So we're definitely growing. But being up in the 20th, we're now not too far off the top 12, which is when all the Super Leagues start coming around, like the Turkish Super League, the Greek Super League, and they've all got their massive TV deals where they've got 70 mil plus of TV revenue, and we're not too far off before the save really kicks off. And now the AI in Iceland also has the money that we have, and we actually will gain extra money to throw around in world football as well, which will help increase our reputation. Our reputation at the moment is only 3-star, but that's the same as what it was last year. And the reason why I'm also doing this is that the Champions Cup draws have come out. Now, we're not in the first round draw because we've gone up because of where we're sitting in club competition. We ourselves are sitting currently in 41st, and as you can see, Silvio Ragnoli's Fiorentina is not that far away from where we are. We're actually ahead of clubs like Vigo, Dynamo, who we just beat last season. Celtic were bigger than Everton, which is not too hard because Everton's a small club. A Liverpool fan, I have to say that. Bigger than Everton. We are bigger than a few clubs in terms of where we are ranked in Europe, which is absolutely amazing. How these two clubs... I'm kidding you again. Liverpool fan. Let me have my moment. But anyway, as you can see, we're still growing, and there's still room to grow. What this does mean, though, in qualification places, and it takes into effect this year, is we're currently sitting in 12th in terms of nations. Now, European nation, not 12th as in the club that the world ranking is 12th. They're not the world. The club's rank the international team of Iceland ranked 53rd in the world. But what it does mean is the best playoff qualifying two. We get a team put into. We get a champions playoff 1. We got another team. We then get a guaranteed side in the group stage, qualifying 3 and qualifying 2. Now, I'm pretty sure this champions playoff game is where we go off to because we won the league, and it's just a one game against someone else to get into the group stage, and if not, you go into the Europa League, which means that we cut out a lot of the qualifying 3, 2, and 1, which is good, and we will be seeded for that game there as well, which is huge. Another side from Europe, I'm pretty sure the side that finishes second will go into here and go to playoff to get into the third best playoff game to then get into the group stage as well, which will present a great opportunity for another Icelandic club to get into the Champions League. What it does mean is if they lose this game, they'll go into the last qualifying 3 of the Europa League, where one team from Europe will already be waiting for them. One team from Europe, one team from Iceland will already be in there, so we'll have double the chance of getting someone else in Europe along with another side. Or they win that game, lose the last qualifying game in here, and then they go straight into the group stage already with one other side. Now, without further ado, let's go back to the season that was last year. And as we know, we romped the league. But IBV's the other side that are in the Champions League. Now, if you go to their schedule, I don't think their games will be drawn yet. But they're in the Champions League's second best playoff game. Now, win that one, they're only one game away, 2 legs away from the Champions League, which would be awesome for IBV, who had a very decent year last year, not too bad. As you can see, we did beat them 10-0 at one stage, though, but we're beating everybody by some goals when we actually all turn it on, so it doesn't matter too much. But as you can see, IBV are doing all right. KR themselves, who finished 3rd last year, are already in the Europa League, I'm pretty sure. If you go down there, it's yet to be drawn because obviously qualifying still go, but they're already in the Europa League. Now, KR's side are okay, but this is when they're there. This is their best player, and he's alright for Iceland. He's pretty good, and he might be able to do a job. What I'm thinking is for teams like KR and IBV, we'll go back to the league table for Let's Me. FH just scraped in. Now, I would love FH to get into Europe themselves because I think their squad's maybe good enough to not compete in Europe, but make it to the Europa League group stage, and they do have just that 1/3 qualifying round game to get into the group stage, and they do it after playing us. What we're going to do for these sides, I reckon, being the powerhouse that is in Icelandic football, is as long as we pass our homegrown players quota, I think there is definitely a case for us to start loaning out our better Icelandic youth players out to the KR. FH and IBV, who hasn't started too well at all. They've drawn 4 and lost 2, which doesn't bode well for the Champions League campaign, but let's hope they pull it out the bag. Just so that they can perform better in Europe. Now, what that means for us in terms of the save is that with everybody now competing in Europe, our ranking for the league is going to grow. Now, if we went back to it, we're in 20th, if I go back down into here, right? But if everybody playing in Europe, even if they all get knocked out, right? This should grow, right? And we're only that many spots off now being into that side, that top 12 of the money is. Our league in terms of reputation is now the same as the Croatian league all the way down, right, to the Swedish Premier Division, which means that players from in and around here will ideally like to join us, and because we're in the Champions League, we now have a wider range of player pool that we can probably pull in as well. So the save is definitely growing. If all those teams can perform, I reckon we can maybe reach the top 12 in the next year or two, and then the TV money comes in. And with the TV money and with the reputation of the league starting to get up to 3.5 star, our club reputation getting up to 3.5 star, the signings that we could make could mean that the Champions League, that run in the Champions League that we're craving here at HK might not be too far off. When we finished the stream last time, and we watched the Napoli game, we didn't get through. I was sitting here thinking we're gonna have to have a very long grind. It's gonna take many years to get there. I'm now a bit more optimistic that it's not short term that we're gonna win the Champions League, but not in as long term as I was thinking. When I got off the stream, I was thinking, hello. As my door seems to just close out of nowhere. It's because I've got all the windows open. It's a nice day here in Adelaide, airing out the house. Probably should have put a door stop there. Scared the absolute daylights out of me though. But with that in mind, maybe not 15, 20 years, but maybe 5, we can maybe win the Champions League. Realistically look to win the Champions League. What that does mean is if they're getting in better players that aren't playing for Europe as well, the AI, and not playing for their teams, like, good example, Lucas Lotbat, right? Lucas actually has got a good bid, and this is the last thing I was going to show before we got off as well, is that if they can start bringing players like this, and they can now get through their days they have remaining on their, citizenship, Icelandic football itself should then get a very decent Icelandic national side, and then it's pretty good. The last thing I'm going to show you is this. Because the league is now ranked inside the top 20, Maruto, who was worth 700k, is now 1.9. Nishkin's worth 1.4, and he was only ever worth 200k. Prospect's worth 2.1. Right? Repus is 925k. Roger, who we signed on a pre-contract, worth like 300k at the time, and paid 1.1 mil to get him in. 1.1 mil. You can see that out of Stein, who was getting offers of like 500, 600k from AC Milan, is now with 2.5. I just rejected a 5 mil bid for him. Stevens up to 2.4, and that price is going to grow. We can see now as we look through, like Wagner's up to 2. Wagner was 300k when we last looked at an episode. You know, Yag 3.5. It was always around 2 because we bought him for big money. Alt, who we signed here for 5 mil, right, went down to $1 million in value, now up to 3.5. Is that the values of players are now, Jon's the biggest example, 200k, right? Never used to get a bit over 400. 1.3 mil, just rejected a mil bid. Because the save has now grown and we're into the spot, Bonnie in is another one, like 300k, not anymore. 2.7. We just have a 2.5 mil bid sitting there, which we're about to reject after the episode. We have now finally got to the stage where my players are actually valued at maybe where they belong. Like Burek, however, he was valued like 200k, being capped already by Germany at 20 is beyond me. He's now valued at 1.5 and it should be higher. You know, Flemen at 2.9. Had bids of 9 mil rejected now. You know, Gunnarsson finally an Icelandic player represented at 2.8. You know, it was always worth like 200, 300k. This is the one I'm most happy about. Is Isberg's finally got a value of over $1 million. It's taken years, guys, but he is there. Fortunately, he's out injured as well with sprained knee ligaments. Did it in training, but he'll be featuring for me. Don't worry as well. Yeah, at some point in the save, we might actually get that 7.5 mil foreign bid, but it's up to him if he wants to leave, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't. But as you can see, guys, the save is progressing. I'm going to leave it on the club screen. How long do you reckon it's going to be until we can win the Champions League now with the way the save is progressing? I'm hoping it's not too long. I don't want to drag it out, obviously. I want to do it as soon as possible. But at the same time, it's not like it's going to happen overnight in the next 2-3 seasons, you don't think either. Anything's can happen in club football, in cup football. But I don't think it's going to happen there. But what it does mean is that we're definitely going in the right direction with the right signings and the right reputation, you know, club reputation, with the right money coming in. I definitely feel that we are not too far off, and we've now hit the stage of the save where it's now Icelandic football itself is now starting to grow and become a real force to be reckoned with. Over the next few years, I really expect every club in Iceland to start growing as a whole, not just ourselves and not just us being in Europe trying to forge Icelandic football forward. Everybody else should join in as well. That's going to be the episode done, guys. If you want more episodes maybe to catch up the save, let me know in the comments. In the comments as well, obviously let us know how many years it's going to take to win the Champions League. You could put never, and it would be a fair statement as well, because it's an Icelandic club. Have anyone from Iceland ever won it? No. Has anyone ever done it before as a YouTube save? No. But it's always good to be the first in something. And so hopefully HK is the side that can do it. And I have full faith in these boys and Isberg's men that we will eventually do it. If you like the episode, give it a like, of course. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be streaming on Twitch after this episode goes out as well. We will be doing like just some of the league games and get towards the Champions League. I don't expect to get to the Champions League before coaching today anyhow, but just nice to jump on stream and say hello to everybody as well. So if you want to check out the stream, link will be in the description below to the stream. But from Damien, goodbye YouTube. That was episode 33 of the Rise of Icelandic Football. Make sure you're subscribed to see when episode 34 comes out, because it will be a Champions League game and surely it will be a cracker. Goodbye, guys.